Hey y'all, welcome back to our channel. So in today's video, I'm going to give you guys 6 tips on how to get rid of a fever with your infant. So for everyone that's already a parent, or for someone who is a first-time mom or a first-time dad, this video is for both of you guys. So as you may know or may not know, you're not able to give your baby any kind of cough medicine or like any of the over-the-counter medicines that we usually get when we have a cold or if we have a fever. So you kind of have to improvise and do what you think is best for your baby, because you can't give them regular medicine like you would typically take yourself if you have a fever. So in the beginning of this video, you see me feeling him, just seeing how warm he is and seeing if I can feel to the touch how hot he is. And he was burning up this day, so I could literally feel it with my hands. So that's what made me go ahead and definitely check his temperature. So for infants, you obviously don't check their temperature in their mouth. You're going to do a rectal temperature. For infants, a temperature between 97 and 100.3 degrees Fahrenheit is a normal internal temperature. When the temperature rises above and it is 100.4, that would be indicating that your child has a fever. So here, I'm just changing his diaper, and then we're going to go ahead and do our first temperature check. So I'm just going to take some petroleum jelly and I'm going to put it on the tip of the thermometer just so it's not too uncomfortable for him. As you can see, he has a temperature of 100.9. So my first tip is to take your child to the pediatrician, obviously. You just want to make sure that it's just a cold, or make sure that whatever they're experiencing is not like the flu or RSV, which is an upper respiratory infection, or COVID, since we are in COVID time. So you just want to make sure that there's no other explanation for the fever besides maybe teething, or they just have a cold in general. So I just took him just to make sure, and all of his tests came back negative. So we're back to the home remedies. For tip 2, you're going to obviously give them some infant Tylenol, because this is pretty much the only medicine that you can actually give your infant, and their dosage will be based off of their weight. So for my son, I give him 3.75 milliliters of the infant Tylenol, and you can give it to them every 4 hours. So I keep rotating this for 4 hours just to help maintain his good temperature. We don't want him to have a fever anymore. And as you can see, my son is sick. He just sneezed and all of that snot just came out of his nose. So he is really going through it. But we're going to start with the fever, and then we'll work on getting everything else back in order, because his pediatrician let me know that if he has a fever for more than 7 days, that I would need to bring him back, because that's not good. But thankfully, these steps help us, and he will not need to be going back for a fever. So we're going to be taking this 70% isopropyl alcohol, the green kind, and we're going to rub this all over his body, which is crazy because you would not think that this will be a remedy, but it actually works. So we're going to take this, I'm going to put the rubbing alcohol, I put it on a little cotton pad, and I'm going to rub it on his feet. You literally can rub it on them from the neck down, avoiding their private areas, of course, and their face. Make sure they don't have any like cuts or scrapes, so it will irritate him. He's a little fussy, but it's not because of the rubbing alcohol. It's because he's a little sick. But we're going to rub it on his stomach, on his back, on his arms. You can rub it all below their neck, just avoiding their private areas. You can also put it on their hands. I'm not going to put it on his hands because he's a little bit bigger now, but I know when he was smaller and he had a fever, I put some on his hands and I put mitts over his hands so he couldn't put his hands in his mouth. But if you're not going to use mitts, I would not recommend putting the rubbing alcohol on their hands because, as you know, kids are going to put their hands in their mouth. As you can see, he almost tried to put the cotton ball in his mouth with the alcohol on it. So I'm going to go back in and redo it one more time. And he actually likes it. He likes how the cooling sensation feels on his body. So it was kind of a win-win for me, and it helped him. Is anybody else's kid cranky every time it's time to wake up from a nap? Mine is. So for tip number 4, we're going to run him a lukewarm bath. The bath just helps to keep them calm. It can be really, really relaxing for them. So it's going to also help bring their temperature down. As the water evaporates off of them, the steam from the water evaporates off of them, it'll eventually help bring their temperature down along with easing them. Like, it actually feels good. I noticed that he really enjoys getting a bath when he is sick. He's not fussy in there. He doesn't sneeze. He doesn't cough. He's pretty calm in his bath. So it does definitely help calm them down. And I use this Aveeno Stress Relief Lavender Soap. Now we're about to go in for a temperature check number 2. This is actually the next day from the last temperature check that we did. So we're going to go ahead and check and just see the progress that us rotating our Tylenol, doing our rubbing alcohol and our warm bath, and see what it has done so far. Our beginning temperature check was 100.9 degrees, which is a fever. As you can see, his temperature is 98.7, which is actually in the normal range. But I want it to be closer to like 97. So we're going to go ahead and go back in with our steps. So step 3 was the rubbing alcohol. We're going to go ahead and put that all over his body again. And I just put socks over it just to like keep the rubbing alcohol there, because for some reason he likes to rub his feet on everything. He likes to put his feet in his mouth, as you can see he almost was about to do. So I just want to keep it sealed up in there. And we're going to go in and repeat step number 2 as well, which is the dosage, my bad, of Tylenol. We're going to go ahead and go back in with that. And also make sure your child is still eating. Make sure they still have an appetite. Make sure you're trying to give them their bottles, their baby food, everything. Tip number 5 is to continuously give them fluids, some type of juice, some type of yogurt, something like that, just to prevent the dehydration and also help the body cool itself off by having fluids like that. For tip number 6, our final tip, I recommend using air conditioning or set your fan next to your baby and put it on a low setting just to keep the atmosphere cool for them. Keep them in a cool environment. So here's the last temperature check. This is the final day. This is the third day, and we have gotten his temperature down to 97.7. He actually had a 97-degree temperature later on the previous day, but I wanted to wait a day just to make sure that the fever was completely gone. And as you can see, he's closer to where I would like him to be.